Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's episode we're going to be doing something that we haven't done on this channel in a long time, and that is a good old-fashioned Windows Upgrade Saga. The point of these videos is to try and upgrade through Windows beta builds to the final release of whatever that Windows version is. And so far we've done this with Windows XP and Windows Vista, but today we're going to be doing it with Windows 7. So we already have the final build of Windows 7 installed on this HP laptop here, but we're going to be formatting this pretty shortly here to install the earliest known build of Windows 7 that we have available to us, and that is 6469 that was compiled on October 2nd, 2007. And then we're going to upgrade from that through a few other builds, not all of them. The point of this video is not to go through every single build because, I mean, that's something that we could theoretically do, but it would just take a really long time, longer than this video is already going to be. So what I like to do is just select a handful of builds, usually one from each point in the development cycle. So today we've got a milestone 1 build, which is 6469. We've got a milestone 2 build, we've got a milestone 3 build, 2 beta builds, 1 release candidate build, and then the final release of Windows 7. And hopefully we'll be able to go through all of those. So we're going to get started by popping in build 6469. And let's get this show on the road. So we're just going to restart our lovely, totally genuine copy of Windows 7 here. You can see the date is set to 1980, so yeah, we gotta boot into the BIOS and change that briefly here. Although we don't even really have to, because as long as it's before the time bomb date, which in this case is April 7th of 08, we'll be able to install it just fine. But what's odd is I've been going through the setup utility here, and I don't actually see a way to change the system date. Because we've got, I mean, this is all system info, restore defaults, these are your exiting options, you want to ignore or save changes. Security, this is all like, you know, stuff for setting a drive password, system IDs, disk sanitizer, these are diagnostics. And system configuration, you've got boot options, which doesn't apply to us. Nothing in device configuration, built-in device options. Yeah, like I don't actually think there's a way of changing the system date from the BIOS. That is very... I never noticed that on this system. Yeah, I don't see anything that allows us to change the date. So we're just going to have to just get out of here and go through the installer. And it should actually, let me do F9 just to make sure that we boot from the optical drive here. Hey, there we go. Windows is loading files. So yeah, as I said earlier, this is the earliest build of Windows 7 that we have available to us, but it's not the earliest known build. That would be 6429 from May of 2007, so about 5 months before this build was compiled. And you're going to notice that a lot of Vista stuff remains in this early build here, and that's just extremely common for these really early development cycle builds. In fact, you can see here that the final name wasn't even decided on yet because it says Windows Codename Windows 7, which was actually the code name for Windows 7. Remember, Blackcomb was a completely different thing. That was a part of that roadmap that Microsoft created before Windows XP even released that they ultimately did not stick with. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and click on Next here, and we'll install now. And we are going to just format the drive, do a clean install, and we should be able just to not enter a product key. Yes, I'm not going to bother doing that now. And we've got the pre-release software license agreement for Windows Vista Service Pack 1. Again, not anything really has been changed in here. Now, it does say upgrade is disabled, but I believe that's just because we are running a newer version of Windows, so it doesn't let us upgrade from it. But if we did have Vista installed, I think you could upgrade to this build from Vista, but of course we're just going to do a clean install here. We could have theoretically done that, but you know, whatever. I mean, I already had Windows 7 installed, and I guess while this is copying, or well, it's expanding files now, but while it's doing that, I can take you through the list of builds that I have selected for this upgrade procedure. So we're going to go from 6469 hopefully to 6608, which is a milestone 2, the official milestone 2 build actually. And then we're going to go from that to 6801, which from what I've researched, we might experience some problems upgrading to that. That is probably going to be the problem build, hopefully the only problem build, because there have been some noted issues sometimes with getting upgrading to work from previous builds, but we're going to try it anyway and see what happens. That's a milestone 3 build. Then we're going to go from that to a beta build, 6931, and then we're going to go to the official beta build of 7000, and then we're going to go from that to the official release candidate build, which is 7100, and then the final release 7600. So yeah, it should make for an eventful upgrade procedure, and hopefully, you know, everything will go smoothly, but I'm expecting us to run into at least a couple issues, probably with that problem build that I mentioned where we might have some upgrade problems. But yeah, it's going to be cool just to go through some of these beta builds again, because it has been a while. In fact, the last time that I think I took a look at any of these was when I was making my Windows 7 development history video, which I did back in the summer of 2020, I believe. So yeah, like 3 years ago. Gosh, I can't even believe it's been that long since 2020. So if you missed that video and you want a more streamlined and concise version of basically what we're doing here, go and check it out. It'll be up in the cards. That's just like a brief 10 to 15 minute video that takes you through Windows 7's development, through taking a look at some of these builds. And after probably 30 minutes or so of waiting, it has finished. So we are restarting now. Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of waiting around throughout this video as I have to wait through, you know, install processes and all of that. You all don't have to deal with that thanks to the magic of editing, but yeah, that's the one thing that's coming back to me that I'm like, yeah, I remember why I don't do these videos as often as I used to. Although I didn't really, I mean, I've done what, like 3 or 4 of these so far, because I did the original Windows Upgrade special back when I hit 5,000 subscribers, and that was just upgrading from Windows 1.0, you know, the classic video that like everybody does, upgrading from Windows 1.0 to Windows 10. Although I actually didn't get to Windows 10, I think I got to Windows 7. Then I did that same thing on the 98 PC, which I also only got to Windows 7. So I did, that was in early 2020. And then I did the I did the Windows Vista Upgrade Saga, the Windows XP Upgrade Saga, and then I did the Windows NT Upgrade Saga, which I upgraded through all of the Windows NT versions, the final releases, not the betas. But yeah, all this is kind of coming back to me now, all the waiting. Like I'm already 45 minutes into this recording, and we don't even have the first build installed yet. But hey, that just makes an authentic experience, right? Just going through and installing these builds. Because if you were beta testing these, I mean, this is period specific hardware. This is a Windows Vista machine. It's got a Core 2 Duo and 4 gigs of RAM, upgraded from the original 2 gigabytes that was in here, I believe. Although most of these builds you were not supposed to be beta testing because they were not supposed to be released outside of Microsoft, but somebody leaked them anyway, and well, that's how we have them. The only ones that were really officially released were the official beta build, the official RC1 build. All right, we have restarted once again, and we should be done with the copying files and everything. And as we go through these builds, I am going to point out some of the noteworthy changes between them. And despite this being such an early build, there are some very notable improvements. In fact, they are kind of hidden things that are not enabled by default. There is an early version of the Windows 7 super bar in here, that larger taskbar, and there's a few other things. But first, let's get through our user account creation process. So, let's give this a name of, let's just do Michael, I guess. Why not? We're not going to bother setting a password. And we'll set, let's see, let's do the chess icon here. And we'll call this the 7 Upgrade Saga. And all this should remain the same and not change as we go through these builds. And I think we're going to change things up and not select the default Vista wallpaper. Let's go with this one here. I always like this one. And we're going to ask me later for updates. Okay, so now we can change the date. So I'm just going to jump to 07. We'll jump to October. and we'll do October 3rd, which is a day after this build was compiled. But yeah, one thing you'll notice is we don't have proper display drivers installed because we've got these black bars on the side of the screen. I'll see if I can jump into control panel and change the aspect ratio once we're done with this portion of the setup. And oh yeah, one thing that I did not know while this was installing is what SKU this was going to be. This is Windows Vista Business. First, let me, well, we've got a few things happening. We got the Welcome Center here. We're going to get out of that. Windows Defender failed to initialize. Okay, not like that really matters because we're not going to use that. And let's jump to personalize here. Let's go to display settings and see what we can do. Oh yeah, we've got 800 by 600 or 1024 by 768. So yeah, even listing all modes here, we don't get anything other than 640 by 480 or 1024 by 768. So we would need to install the proper display driver to change the resolution to what it's supposed to be, what this panel can handle, what its maximum resolution is. And I'm not too concerned about that. And plus, with these being beta builds, we could run into issues getting the driver to work properly. But let's go ahead and jump into some of the noteworthy changes in this build. First off, if we open up WinVer here, the NT version is now 6.1. Windows Vista's was 6.0, and this was the final NT version that was chosen for Windows 7. I believe there was talk about making it 7.0, but they ultimately decided to just increment it by one minor version and go with 6.1. But yeah, build 6469, there's the whole build string there. This is a WEX build, which in fact, whenever you try to run an application like regedit where you need admin privileges, it will say WEX build account in place of Microsoft Corporation, which is rather interesting. But yeah, speaking of registry editor, we do need to open it up because one of the first sort of hidden features that we're going to explore is the early version of the super bar, and that can be enabled by going into HKey current user. We have to go into software, Microsoft, Windows, current version, and Explorer. And inside of this key, we have to create a new key. And we're going to call that task band. And we want to create a new dword value named can has superbar. So you got some lovely Microsoft humor going on here. And you set this value to 1. And now, if we were, I believe we can just restart Explorer. So let's open up Task Manager here. Just go to Explorer and end that and restart it. And check that out. We've got a super big chunky taskbar down here. I don't believe the smaller icons is functional at this point. Yeah, I don't think we have that ability at this time. And I don't think we can pin stuff to the taskbar either. Like when you right click, we don't have that option to pin taskbar. We can still pin stuff to the quick launch area over here, but not to the actual taskbar itself like you can in Windows 7. So, but yeah, so you got an early version of that going on here, which is kind of neat to see. Also, Arrow Preview you can see is kind of broken too, where you can normally preview the window. Because this was a feature in Windows Vista. A lot of people think it was introduced in Windows 7. It was actually in Vista, but it was just a simple, like you would mouse over and you get a little preview, and that was about it. But yeah, that is an early iteration of the superbar. And let's hop back into regedit, because there's also an early version of libraries, which was a feature introduced in Windows 7. So to enable this, we just have to go up a key here to Explorer, and we have to add a new dword value and call it use Win7 nav pane and change that to 1. And then we have to open up Explorer, or not Explorer, Task Manager, and kill Explorer. And then we run Explorer again. Although it's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to show a Show Libraries button here. And let me just double check this. HKey current user software Microsoft. Oh, there. Okay, so I just put it in the wrong key. So we have to delete this, and it has to go in the advanced key. New dword value. Use Win7 nav pane 1, and let's restart Explorer again. Okay, so now if we hop into, let me turn off always on top here. So yeah, there we go. Now we have this Show Libraries button. So when you click this, and then we need to drag this up here, and this gives us our libraries. So we can go into documents here, and of course this is all just experimental, so that they're not going to function like they do in Windows 7. But yeah, so they were beginning to implement the libraries at this point in time, which is cool to see. So that's that. And there's also a hidden sort of boot screen as well. If we open up msconfig, and if we go to boot here and select no GUI boot, and we restart, I'll just show you what this looks like. And here it is. It's just a static image, but it's not anything that was actually included in the final build of Windows 7. Now, I should mention these features I just showed you are not the only changes in this build, but they're some of the more noteworthy ones. And that's pretty much what we're going to do as we go through these. I'll touch on some of the major stuff. And before we upgrade to the next build, I am going to do the classic thing that is like a requirement for, oh, it's going to yell us about activation. Let's just hit cancel for now. Oh no. Okay, so I entered in a Vista retail key because you can use those with this build here. And it's not able to activate because it can't connect the internet. We're just going to say ask me later, and this should... No! Oh, come on. Alright, I think what we have to do here is open up Windows Explorer, and we got to open up command prompt and type in, let's see here, slmgr-rearm and shut down -r-t0. This should reset the activation timer for us. Haha, just kidding. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I thought there was a way to like, oh, that's why it didn't work. I need to have elevated privileges. Okay, see, I just didn't even see this message last time. So I need to run into Windows. Is CMD in here, or it's in System32, isn't it? Okay, System32, CMD, run as administrator, and now slmgr-rearm. Command completed successfully. Please restart the system. Hooray. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now before we jump into upgrading to the next build of Windows 7 here, we're going to do the classic thing that is like a requirement with these videos, and that is changing the theme to some really obnoxious thing and hoping that the settings will carry over when we do the upgrade. So we're going to go to Appearance and Personalization. So I think we're going to leave the wallpaper the same, and we'll go to change the color scheme. And let's go to Vista Basic, we'll go to Advanced, and let's change Active Title Bar. Maybe let's up that. Yeah, let's do like 100, and we'll apply that, and that'll just make it look beautiful. Yeah, okay, maybe we don't... I like want to make this obnoxious, but like not as obnoxious as I did in the Longhorn video. There we go. Doesn't that look just glorious, guys? So with all of that set, now of course we can change this when we get into the next build if we want to, but let's see if these settings carry over. So I'm going to pop in 6608 here. Oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't actually recognize the disk drive when we're booted into Windows here because we don't have the driver installed. Oh, wait a second. It's installing a driver here. Oh, look at that. DVD RAM device installed. Okay, so it just took a restart and yeah, it just installed that driver for us. Awesome. I wonder if it did that for the display driver too. But yeah, look look at the welcome center, by the way. Just the huge elephant in the room here. I mean, God, look at how glorious it looks with Comic Sans. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we're just gonna get out of that for now. I'm curious. Let me jump in and see if we can change the resolution. Not that. Display settings. No, we still can't adjust that. But I mean, just for the heck of it, you know I already said that we're not going to bother doing this, but why don't we try to install the display driver? But just to clarify, let's go into computer. Yep, there it is. So we can start the setup from here. Let's do Windows Vista. I'm just downloading the driver here from HP. USB devices should work just fine, right? So let's pop in a USB flash drive here. And there we go. So we got to run this setup executable. This operating system is not supported. All right, at least we tried. So yeah, that's kind of what I thought was going to happen. Well, hang on a second. I just tried to install the Windows 7 version of the driver. considering that that is the NT version number that we have now. And that seems to be working. Nope, never mind. Unknown error has occurred. So yeah, like I thought, we're just going to run into issues there. So whatever, not that I'm really concerned about that. I'm more concerned about the fact that it recognized the DVD drive now. So that's great. We're going to run the setup executable from here. All right, so Windows 7 Business. Yeah, I just noticed that, by the way. Windows 7 Business doesn't actually exist because it was called Windows 7 Professional, but at this time they were just going with all the Vista names. So yeah, Windows 7 Business, checking compatibility. This should result in no errors, though I don't want to jinx myself. Oh, never mind. You cannot upgrade from a non-staged build to a staged build. That is definitely noteworthy. Alright, we're back, and it has been a little while since the last clip, but I've got good news because I've figured out why this isn't working. And well, that's because, as it says right here on screen, we can't upgrade from a non-staged build to a staged build. So that's pretty obvious. Well, what does that mean? Well, this is a non-staged build, which is also known as a checked build, which is kind of like a debug build of Windows. And you're not able to upgrade from checked builds to non-checked builds, which are also known as staged builds. Now, we could just try to find another checked build to upgrade to, but the problem is the only other one in Windows 7's development lineage that we have available to us is build 7000. That's the only other checked build that I was able to find. And obviously, we're not going to upgrade right from this all the way to build 7000 because that completely skips like 2 or 3 stages in the development cycle. So what we're going to have to do is format this drive again and just install a completely different build. Now, I thought about skipping Milestone 1 entirely and jumping directly to 6608, which is the Milestone 2 build we're trying to upgrade to right now. But I said, no, why don't we just download a different Milestone 1 build? And well, it just so happens there is another one. The official Milestone 1 build, 6519, that I've got burned to this DVD right here. In fact, it's the only other Milestone 1 build that we have available to us. And this is a non-checked build, or a staged build. So we will be able to upgrade, or should be able to anyways, upgrade from this to 6608. I definitely expected some issues, but like I said, I thought they were going to begin with, build 6801, because that's the one where it is reported that there are issues getting the upgrade to work in certain circumstances. I actually, when I began prepping for this video, I found somebody on Beta Archive who pretty much did this same thing. They got a bunch of Windows 7 builds downloaded and they tried to upgrade, from actually, I think starting with Windows Vista and then upgrading through a bunch of Windows 7 beta builds. And they were able to do it, but they specifically mentioned that build 6808 or 6801, they had issues. And they did not even attempt, as far as I know, to try 6469 and you try to upgrade from that to 6519 or 6608. And, well, the reason is probably because it is a checked build. Now, 6519 here was compiled on December 20th, 2007. And again, 6469 was compiled in October of 2007. So about 2 months have passed in between these builds. Now, selecting the edition here. So we can pretty much select any edition we want because all of these builds are multi-SKU. So we're just going to go with Ultimate and just say, yeah, that's the one that we've purchased, quote unquote. And yeah, you can see Microsoft pre-release Windows 7 operating system. So by this point, even though that, the installer still identified itself as Vista or had the Vista branding, they have changed some of this stuff to say Windows 7. And if you notice, it doesn't say codename Windows 7, so they also had decided on the final name by this point. Of course, we're going to go with Custom Advanced, and we're going to just format this drive. We're going to lose all of our wonderful customization settings. It's such a shame. But don't worry, we're going to apply them again. And this time it's going to be even better. And there we go. We'll hit next. And now I got to wait some more. All right, after about 20 or so minutes, we are back. So now we got to enter our name and all this lovely stuff again. We're going to pretty much do the same thing as last time. Though, what did I call the computer exactly? I did like Win 7 Upgrade Saga. And we're going to go with this wallpaper again. And we're going to ask me later. And we'll just stay in Pacific time. That's fine. Thank you. And yeah, as you can see, we've got the Windows 7 branding down there instead of Windows Vista. And look at that. The feedback icon on the desktop has been changed to the feedback button, which is a little application here where you could send feedback to the developers. And you might notice as well that the sidebar has been removed, but the gadgets have not. If you remember in Windows 7, you know, Microsoft never removed gadgets, but they removed the sidebar that Windows Vista had. So here's the gadgets, you know, loaded up here, and yeah, there's no sidebar anymore. So we're going to hop into regedit here again. And we're going to make some key modifications. Oh, and I guess I can show you WinVer as well, if I can actually hit the right key. So WinVer, you can see that the branding has been changed to the Windows 7 branding. And yeah, there you go. So we're going to hop into, let's see here, where do we have to go? HKey current user, software, Microsoft, Windows, current version, whoops, Explorer and Advanced. And then we have to create a new dword value with the name enable CHS, give it a value of 1. And now if we restart Explorer, I think this will just do a couple of things. So yeah, the super bar's back. And you can see we now actually have pinned items to it. So like I could right click here and click pin, and we can close out of it. And I think the way this works is there's still not a way to actually get running applications to be just the icon. So you see if I were to like open Task Manager, it grows to have the text here, but when I close out of it, it just goes back to the icon. We also have libraries, and just like in the last build, we have to add a registry key to enable that. So we're just going to add a dword value. This time it is called M1FNO, and we set that value to 1. Yeah, you can see here's the new libraries interface, so we can go to documents. We can back up here. So yeah, they got new icons that were not used in Windows 7. But yeah, those are a couple of things. We do have the boot screen as well that I could show you. We'll just restart here. And here it is. So there is an animation on the bottom here. You can see that little arrow-like bar or line going across. So this was ultimately obviously not used in Windows 7, but it is pretty cool. Honestly, I mean, it looks more like Windows Vista to me than Windows 7. It would have been cool if they had included that in Vista, because Vista's boot screen is pretty boring, as we all know. And speaking of really boring, I think this theme's pretty boring. Why don't we spice it up a little bit with some MJD-ness and just completely screw it over? So we'll go into Control Panel here. Or actually, what we could do, check this out. We can right-click on the desktop, and in addition to personalize, we have a new display option, which if you remember in the last build, this display option was not here. So this was added. But we'll go back to Control Panel, and we'll go to Appearance and Personalization. You see we get some changes going on here on the sidebar as well. We're going to change the color scheme. We're going to set this to Windows Classic. And let's go to Advanced, and let's just kind of go with that green to red gradients. And there we go. Doesn't that just look glorious? So we're going to pop in build 6608 once again. Oh, and let's hope that it recognized the DVD drive, which it did. Okay, that's great. You gotta love the build string down here. Man, just, I don't know what it is, but setting everything to Comic Sans just makes it look so goofy. Alright, so just as a refresher, I know I said all this before, but we'll just go through it again. So 6608, this is the official Milestone 2 build. So we're going to be upgrading from official Milestone 1 to official Milestone 2, which means that if this doesn't work, Microsoft did not plan for people wanting to upgrade from Milestone 1 to Milestone 2, you know, which would be really dumb. But anyways, we're going to uncheck this, say we don't want to get the latest updates. We're going to select Windows 7 Ultimate. Hit next, and there we go, upgrade, boom. Although, you remember that option showed up before and then it errored out, so let me not jinx myself and make sure it actually says, yes, you can upgrade. Oh, and there we go, look at that. So, I gotta do some more waiting. Gosh, we're already like 2 hours into this and we're not even through the first upgrade yet. Alright, so we've just finished the upgrade procedure, and let's see, after the really delayed startup sound plays, Let's see if it saved all of our wonderful visual settings. Aside from the visual styles, one of the things I am interested in seeing is if the super bar that we enabled in the last build remains. Because although it is in this build, it's also a hidden feature, but to enable it, you have to add a bunch of dword values to the Windows registry instead of just the one that we did in the last build. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. Oh, look at that. It saved our, at least initially here, it saved our theme. It looks like Task Scheduler has stopped working. Okay, we'll close out of that. And will it save? Yep, it saved the desktop wallpaper too. Honestly, not that surprising, but, you know, it's nice that I freaking love the Welcome Center. I know we already saw this, but oh my god, it's nuts. And yeah, so it saved our wallpaper, it saved all of our visual settings, and yes, it looks like the taskbar has reset to the non-super bar variety. So, to enable that, I'm going to go ahead and copy over. It's actually just easier to run a .reg file because there's a bunch of stuff you have to add. So I'm just going to copy all this information on my laptop here. All right, so I've got those files on this flash drive here. Let's plug it in. And I think what I'm going to do temporarily, of course, is switch this back to the, normal theme. Though I am going to save this one. I'm definitely going to do that, so we can just easily swap back to it. We'll save theme. And we can't even see the frickin' can't even see the file name text box there. So we'll call this awesome theme.theme. And there we go. Okay, so that's been saved. So we'll swap back to just the Windows regular theme here. So there we go. And now if we hop into here, let me just copy both of these files. So yeah, I have two different reg files here because you can also enable arrow peek. As well by adding some information to the registry. So let's go ahead and run the super bar and we'll say yes, we want to add to the Windows registry. It's been successfully added. Let's do arrow peek as well. There we go. And now you can see that unlike in the last build, we can actually just have the, like for running applications, you can have just the icon down here instead of the icon and the text. We still cannot get previews of the applications by mousing over it, but we do have this button here, this little arrow, where you can choose to pin it to the taskbar, which will do that. So now we close out of it, and it's there. And I think for arrow peek to work, you have to have the arrow theme enabled, because normally with arrow peek, you'll be able to mouse over the show desktop button here, and it will give you a little preview of what's on your desktop and just kind of move all the windows or fade them out of the way temporarily. And then if you click on it, of course, it will just show the desktop. But that doesn't happen, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able, I don't know why I just opened Task Manager again. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to apply the arrow theme, but we can try. I mean, we do have the hardware for it, it's just that we don't have the driver installed, because yeah, Windows Arrow doesn't even show up in here, so that's not surprising. But yeah, there it is. We'll run WinVer here just to give you a look at what we got going on. So of course 6.1 6608, and I think we're just gonna jump right into the Milestone 3 build. So the Milestone 3 build that we have is 6801. Which this is again the problem build that I have read has caused problems for some people trying to upgrade from earlier builds to it. And before we do that, let me jump in here and set my theme settings back to, to the way they were before. And I think, there it is. We'll apply that. Oh no, it got rid of my color settings. It didn't save any of that. Oh, that's really annoying. All right, well, we'll have to do all this again. I don't want to change the desktop. Now that's interesting. The effects button that we had here went away. You notice that? There used to be an effects button right here. And yeah, why did it apply the Windows Standard? We had Windows Classic selected. That's very interesting. All right, there we go. Oh my, holy cow. Look, it's like it hasn't completely applied yet. We got to mouse over everything. But okay, let's go into my computer here, or just computer, and go to... Oh, look at that. It has not recognized the DVD drive, unfortunately. So we might have to restart. Let's just do that really quickly. All right, Task Scheduler crashed again. I'm guessing that's a bug with this build. And I don't see anything coming up about new devices, so... Oh, there it is. Okay, so we just had to restart. All right, so let's see. We're going to accept our license terms. You can see little remnants of our custom theme taken over here in the installer. Let's see. Will it work? Because if everyone else had issues, then I'm definitely going to have issues. It's only the stuff that works for everybody else that I have problems with, that I have, like, unique problems with. Oh, wait a second. No way. No freaking way. We're not in the home stretch yet. It just started. I don't know if the error message comes up before this or if it comes up during this. I'm betting it's going to come up. It very well could still. I'm just expecting it at this point. I'm going to be floored if this actually goes through and works. But we'll just let it do its thing. And hopefully, when I talk to you guys again, we'll have this build installed. But something tells me that's not going to happen. Well. Like I said, we were going to run into issues, and sure enough, we did. So here is that error message which says we cannot upgrade to this version of Windows because the disks were formatted in an incompatible way by a newer version of Windows. So it was worth a try. So I think what we're going to do here is just jump right to 6931. This is a beta build of Windows 7 that was compiled on October 16th, 2008. So that is about a month after Milestone 3. So this build that we tried to install was pretty much late Milestone 3. And this is noteworthy too because if you remember from the beginning, 6469, that was compiled in October of 2007. So it took about a year, actually just over a year, to get from Milestone 1 all the way to beta. But let's go ahead and pop this disk in, and we will start the setup executable. Oh, and it just unrecognized our disk drive for some reason. That's interesting. Well, apparently the disk drive locked up because it was not ejecting when I tried to eject it. So I just went ahead and restarted, and well, here it is. So let's run the setup executable here. Now I should mention, in the beta phase of Windows 7's development, there are a lot of builds that we know of. In fact, there's way more. There are actually more beta builds than Milestone 1, Milestone 2, and Milestone 3 builds combined. That we know of anyways. And the beta development stage lasted from the earliest known build is 6910 from September of 2008 and ended with the official build 7000 from December of 2008. So that's like 3 months. That's how long Windows 7 was in beta. So let's go ahead and not agree to getting latest updates. We're going to select Windows 7 Ultimate. You can see that the names of the operating system, the way this is formatted, has changed a little bit over time as well. Just again, some minor stuff. And we will accept the license agreement, and we'll hit upgrade. Well, at this point, I'm just going to let it do its thing once again, and I'll be back with you in probably a good 20 minutes or so. Well, we just finished, and as you can see, we got a new boot screen, and something else, we've got a widescreen aspect ratio. So yeah, it just automatically installed whatever driver it's got running now, which yeah, allows us to, or it just changed this to this resolution, which is great. So we're not going to bother entering a product key. We're going to ask me later, keep all this stuff the same. So the big question, will it keep our desktop theme and everything? Yes, it has. Check that out. So yeah, it's it's kept our wallpaper and everything, which, I mean, to be honest, I did expect it to, but it's nice to see that that it actually did. So we have a feedback button and send feedback. So I'm guessing that this was left over from the previous build. And yeah, you see we actually get an error message trying to run it. And this is the new feedback application where Microsoft wants to hear about your experience. And my guess is these gadgets, you see how they're like not to the edge of the screen? I'm guessing it kept it in this position because it, this was the position it was when it was set to the previous resolution. And so it probably just kept them there, and we got to push them over here. Now, I'm going to try to save this theme again. I don't know why it did not. Like, we want to save it like this, and we're going to save theme as the awesome theme. Yeah, so if I switch away and I switch back to it, okay, it keeps all the coloring. That's what I want. So yeah, here is the default Windows theme, and you can see we get Aero Glass now. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? For some reason, the background kind of glitched out there. Okay. You can see we got Aero Snapping here, which is great. Aero Peak, let's see if that works. It should be when you hover over. No, it still doesn't seem to work. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's odd. You see that? So I click on Show Desktop and it shows the desktop, but when you have like one of these windows opened up, it freaks out and just gets rid of the desktop. So let me open up Task Manager and let's restart Explorer here. All right, there we go. So yeah, the Windows Vista taskbar you can see is just like we've lost the super bar. I think we have to run that same registry script to enable it. Yeah, there's not any option in here to change the taskbar, type, like to enable the super bar. So I think you have to do that from the registry again. But you can see we've got the newer style Windows 7 start menu in here with the redesigned, search thing down here. And of course, the lovely Beta Fish wallpaper, probably one of my favorite Windows Beta wallpapers because I think it's a really clever pun. But let's try to run. Okay, so we already know Arrow Peak does not seem to work. So if we run this same registry script, let's add that to the registry, and we're going to have to kill Explorer again. And maybe Desktop Window Manager too. So let's have that restart and then run Explorer again. Nope, that still doesn't seem to work. That's interesting. Let's try to run the Superbar registry entries here. Successfully added the registry. Okay, let's kill Explorer. Okay, that's interesting. You see, it kind of looked like it tried to apply. That's very interesting. I don't see a way on how to enable this, but apparently there is because there's just screenshots. Some of them have the super bar and some of them does not. And the beta wiki page says that the superbar has received a facelift, making it very similar to RTM. But we can't enable it with this script. Of course, that was for an older build, so I didn't really think it was going to do anything. But as we go around here, you'll notice that pretty much every mention of Windows Vista is gone by this point. The Explorer has been redesigned as well by this point. There are some differences. You see, like in documents here, like this bar up here doesn't look exactly as it was in the final release of Windows 7. The only photo we have in here is image 20, which I was using as the default desktop wallpaper. And yeah, let me, speaking of themes, let's reapply my wonderful, awesome theme here, which should, yep, save our coloring information. And now we're going to upgrade to the final beta release, the official beta release, which was build 7000, compiled in December of 2008, which is like 2 months after this build came out. Now, honestly, from this point out, this stuff's probably not going to be the most exciting because in terms of visual changes, like major visual changes, you're not going to see much of that as we go through build 7000, 7100, and then 7600. Because everything, I mean, we're nearing the end of the development cycle by this point. You see here, it only gives us Windows 7 Ultimate x86 instead of the multiple options we had before. And now it says Windows 7 operating system beta. And we're going to, okay, now this is interesting. Can we not upgrade to build 7000? See, just when I said things weren't going to be interesting, it actually gets kind of interesting. So apparently you can, I guess upgrade is disabled? I think it is, because it should, I mean, I'm seeing like, it gives us the disk drive selection screen. I'm like, wait a second, it shouldn't, it should give us the option to upgrade. That is really interesting, because Beta Wiki has a screenshot of this build upgrading from a previous version of Windows. Now, maybe it was a later beta build, hey, that rhymed, because this again is, what build? I've got so many build numbers, I'm forgetting which one it is. This is 6931. 6931, there are, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, there's 3 leaked builds that we have accessible to us that come right after that and right before build 7000. So it might be that we have to upgrade to one of those to then get to 7000. Or we could just try to skip directly to RC1, which I think would definitely not work if it doesn't let us upgrade here to the beta, the final beta release. But that's interesting. It straight up doesn't even give us, like, normally it'll say upgrade is disabled and you have to go through custom install. It's not even doing that. It's jumping straight into custom install. Because again, if we hit next here, it just says that this partition you selected might contain files from a previous Windows installation. If it does, we'll move to windows.old, which is like that partial upgrade sort of thing where it will keep your files, but it is a clean install, so it won't save any of our user preferences. So yeah, we're going to hop out of this and I'm going to try build 7100 just for the heck of it. Oh, and check this out. We've got the final setup background by this point. I think 7100, I think by this point the beta fish wallpaper is gone. No, it's still here, at least according to this screenshot that I just pulled up. So okay, we're going to not get the latest updates, accept, next. There we go. Upgrade. Look at that. It shows up. Isn't that amazing? Let's see if this... Oh, no, we can't. You cannot upgrade to this pre-release version of Windows 7. Go online to see how to install Windows 7 and keep your files and settings. I'm thinking this is probably just because we're on this earlier beta build, it might be expecting us to have like the build 7000 installed, or maybe a later RTM, or not RTM, RC build before we could upgrade to the final release candidate build. But I went in and took a look at that beta archive post again that I mentioned earlier of the person who tried to also do this. And apparently they were able to go from, let's see, 6931. They went from 6931 to 6941 to 6959, then to 7000. And it looks like they didn't even go to 7100. They went through like a bunch of other RC builds before getting to RTM. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try, I'm going to have to download, I'm going to download a few things, but we're going to basically work our way back. So we're trying to upgrade to 7000 right now, or not right now, but initially we're trying to upgrade to build 7000. I'm going to try, if we can get 7000 installed, I think we could upgrade to 7100, hopefully. That's my current theory. But to get to 7000, we have to upgrade to at least one other build in between the build we're currently running, 6931, and 7000. And in between those two builds, we've got 6936, 6941, and 6956. So I think what I'm going to do is download 6956. Well, I'm going to download a couple things actually, because I'm going to get a few of these builds just in case this one doesn't work. But we're going to start with 6956 and basically go back one release, try to upgrade from 6931 to that, and then from that to 7000, and then from 7000 to 7100. You see how like this just gets like spiraled out of control, like just from one thing failing. So I'm gonna go and do some prep work off camera, and hopefully I'll have a solution when I come back to you guys. Alright, welcome back. So there's been some developments. Number one, I took a look at these three builds that come before 7000 and after 6931. And I first looked at 6956, which is the leaked build that comes immediately before 7000. And apparently there's a bit of a bug when you try to upgrade to it. And to get around that, you have to copy a file from build 7000's setup files over to the ISO for 6956. Which we could try, but I have the feeling that since we already tried build 7000 and that upgrade didn't work, it didn't let us upgrade to it, if we copy a file from it over to 6956, it might result in the same thing. So what I've done is I've copied over, or rather burned, an ISO for 6941, which comes before 6956. It's the build immediately before that. And we're going to try to upgrade to this first. And then if that doesn't work, we'll try 6936. Are all these numbers confusing you yet? Yeah, it's definitely a lot to keep track of. So 6941 is a pre-beta build from, and actually I guess I should clarify here, because even though BetaWiki has all of these builds listed under beta, build 7000 is the official beta, and it looks like everything before that are technically pre-beta builds, even though they're grouped under the beta category. So this is a pre-beta build that was compiled on November 2nd, 2008, and I've got that disk in the drive right now. But before we get to that, I do want to touch on one other thing, and that is Blue Pill. So we've got this appropriately blue USB drive here, and we're going to plug that in to take a look at the Blue Pill locked features. So Blue Pill, for those who aren't aware, is similar to Red Pill in Windows 8 builds. This was basically a feature locking functionality that Microsoft had in these builds to kind of hide some of the features they were working on in the event that these builds ever got leaked. Of course, people have found a way to enable access to these features. So we're going to go ahead and copy this executable here over to the desktop. So do you remember before when I was trying to get the super bar working and all that and nothing was happening? Well, that's because those features are locked behind Blue Pill. So we're going to run Blue Pill here, and this should give us the ability. We're going to install Blue Pill. You can now log off and log back on. So when we do that, when we log back in, we should now see the super bar. So yeah, there it is. You can see, of course, it doesn't look super great with this old theme applied, but these are the pinned items here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and change this back. We'll go into personalize here and swap this to the regular Windows 7 theme here, and you can see that this looks really, really close to what we had in Windows 7. So you've got these items pinned down here. Although you can see it is doing the thing where when you click on an item, it grows and adds the text here to the end. I believe if we go to properties here, you might be able to enable that. Let's see. Oh yeah, always combine hide labels. This should do it. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. And we should have arrow peak working as well. which is when we, yep, there it is. So you can hover over the show desktop button and you can get a peek. All the windows will kind of fade away except for the outline, and you can see behind the desktop. So yeah, Blue Pill, an important thing to install if you want to take a look at every feature in these Windows 7 builds. Not all of them. Not all of them have Blue Pill locked features, but these beta builds do, or these pre-beta builds, I should say. So let's go ahead and open up File Explorer here, and we're going to go into, where's this PC at? That's interesting. It's not pinned on the sidebar here by default. Oh, look at me, I said this PC. It wasn't called this PC yet, it was called my computer. Or no, it was called computer, not even my computer. Yeah, they all mean the same thing. I know there's gonna be like one guy who's gonna go like, actually, it's called, yeah, okay, we know, dude, but it's all the same program, like chill. Okay, let's go ahead and just, oh, look at that, it's not recognizing the disk drive. You know what's funny? Like, I've got so many of these discs. I seriously have already lost track. I mean, I've got like these DVDs here. You can see I just dropped one on the desk. I've already I think this one, I mean, this is the case for Build 7000, but I didn't put the disc back in the case for some reason. I think the one I had sitting on top of it was Build 7000, and then one of these is 7100. So yeah, this is going to be fun to kind of go through when we, assuming we can actually get this build to install here. But yeah, this is a lot to just keep track of for sure. But these videos are fun, you know, it's fun to go through and just try. I mean, we do run into issues as is pretty expected, honestly, for, I mean, number one for this channel, but also the fact that we're, you know, using beta software here. So anyway, let's open up my computer, and there's the disk drive. It shows up now, and let's open this up. Application not found. That's lovely. Yeah, it doesn't even, it shows like there's no, yeah, it shows 4.37 gigs of free space. What the heck is that about? Can we open this up here? Okay, that's interesting. Can we run setup? I think we can. And that's interesting. Did you notice that wasn't signed by Microsoft? It said the signature was unknown. I don't think that when we tried to run the last setup executable for Build 7000 and 7100, I think we were able to see the used space on the drive. So maybe that's something with Blue Pill. You know, when we enabled that, maybe it broke seeing the actual used space on disk drives, but not hard drives, because the hard drive was fine. I don't know. It could just be a one-off thing, but whatever. Point is, we were able to launch this setup. So we're going to do Windows 7 Ultimate and accept and upgrade. There we go. Oh, you know what? I forgot to change the theme back to our glorious custom theme. Although it should still be there. It should still show up in the personalization settings because it is a saved theme. In fact, there's 2 saved themes. So we should be able to easily swap it back. But that was my bad. I was too focused on Blue Pill that I forgot to change the theme back. But whatever. It's copying files. It's looking good. So hopefully when I speak with you guys again, we'll be running Build 6941, which would be rather nice. And look at that. Not only did the first portion of the setup complete successfully, but we've got the Windows 7 boot screen, like the final boot screen. At least it certainly looks like that. Alright, we made it, and I made an interesting realization, which basically amounts to, well, I kind of screwed up with the Windows 7 Beta Build 7000 build that we tried to install earlier. Because, you know, I had all these DVDs laid out here, and so I was putting them into my capture PC over here to figure out which one was which, and I noticed that this Build 7000 disk, this ISO image that I burned to it anyways, was actually modified by a third party, because there's like a file on this disk that's dated like 2020 or 2021, which obviously would not have been possible. This build's from 2008, 2009, whatever it was. And the upgrade folder, which if I were to go into like, oh, and look at this, it for some reason applied the old Windows Classic theme here. That's interesting because we had the Windows 7 theme applied. But anyways, if we go into, gosh, computer is still not in the sidebar here. That is annoying. It shows up when you open up computer. So there it is. First of all, you see this string of text as the actual like name of the DVD, right? So take note of that. We're going to open this up, and you see there's this upgrade folder, right? If I were to put in the Build 7000 disk, check this out. The drive label is Windows Vienna. which it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a string like we just saw on the other drive or on the other disk. And you see, yeah, there's this file, 620 of 2022. All these folders were modified on 6/20/2022, and the upgrade folder is missing. So this was modified by somebody, and that's why when we tried to upgrade to it, it didn't even give us the option to upgrade because the files weren't there. So we might have been able to upgrade from the previous build we were running directly to build 7000 if I had the right ISO image. Some of these ISOs I got from the Internet Archive, and apparently the one that I downloaded from there for build 7000 was this ISO, which is not an original one, and it's had, as you've seen, some of the files modified. So what we're going to do, I am downloading a build 7000 ISO right now, also from the Internet Archive, but I looked inside the ISO file to view its contents, because you can do that on the Internet Archive before downloading it, and it has that upgrade folder. So this is most likely an unmodified ISO image. So I'm downloading that right now, but downloading things from the Internet Archive is rather slow. I mean, I have half a gigabit down, and this is a 2.5 gigabyte file, and it's going to take like 2 hours to download for me. So yeah, I basically have that running in the background right now. But I'm going to see if we can just skip right to build 7100, the RTM, or not the RTM, the RC build, the official release candidate build. Oh, and also while we're waiting for that to load up, I can change the theme back to our, here it is. There we go, our theme is still there. Look at that. Lovely, 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 lovely. Okay, so let's run setup.exe. So yeah, basically we just wasted a bunch of time with me trying to install, like, I probably didn't have to install this build. I don't know, maybe we still couldn't upgrade from, oh gosh, what were we running before? Build 6931. Yeah, 6931. Maybe we could have upgraded from that to build 7000 if I had the ISO file with the upgrade files on it. But let's see if we can, okay, upgrade. Let's see what happens. I believe this errored out. Yeah, you can't upgrade this pre-release version of Windows 7. Go online to see how to upgrade. Okay, so we probably have to upgrade to build 7000 first, and then hopefully to this. So I'm going to wait the 2 hours for this frickin' ISO file to download, and I'll come back with you guys once that's finished. Alright, after much waiting, I've got what hopefully is an actual genuine build 7000 ISO image burned to this DVD. Let's see if it has forgotten, because I have restarted the computer. Okay, good. It still recognizes the DVD drive, so that's great. And if we go in here, if I can right click on the menu, come on, you can do it. Come on, context menu, you can do it. I believe in you. Oh my gosh. No, it's not responding. Alright, fine, we'll restart Windows Explorer. This is Windows' way of letting me know that it doesn't appreciate me setting the font for the titles and everything to Comic Sans. Okay, can we why is iExplorer running? What the heck? Okay, so Explorer is so not responding that we can't even kill the process here. Oh my gosh. Why is, look at this. Why is my mouse cursor going behind Task Manager? What the? We're going to open this up, and you see that all of these files and folders were last modified in 2008, and we have the upgrade folder. So, theoretically speaking, we should be able to run setup, and there we go. We get the option to upgrade. So let's select that, and hopefully we won't get that error message that 7100 kept giving us. There we go. I'm not going to say anything else, though, because I don't want to jinx myself. But it's looking good. Well, good news everyone, we got it to install without any issues, and okay, I think it might have gotten rid of our theme. Yeah, because we definitely had the theme applied beforehand. Let's go into control panel and take a look at our personalization settings. So we have, okay, this is a custom one, and this is the awesome theme. Okay, so for some reason it set it back to this one. I'm just going to delete this one because we don't need that one. This is the one that we definitely want here. But we'll set it back temporarily to the standard Windows theme. Yeah, we got that same bug going on where it shows that this DVD, even though it has data on it, is it like has nothing. It says it's 4.37 gigs of free space. So yeah, that's rather interesting. Obviously, that did get fixed, you know, at some point. Maybe in the next build, we'll see. And speaking of, let's pop in the CD for 7100. Now, we're not going to install it quite yet because I do want to take you around this build just briefly, because as you can see, things are definitely coming together. We have the super bar down here, you know, enabled by default. It's not locked behind blue pill anymore. And you can see we've got 3 shortcuts for Windows Media Player. This is a bug that happens. It has been reported numerous times as I've been reading about these builds, that when you upgrade between them, certain builds will cause an additional Windows Media Player icon to be added to the taskbar. And in this case, we had 2 additional ones, so there's 3 total now, which is great. But if we go into the start menu, you can see that it's also pretty much final. And, you know, yeah, things are just looking really good. If we go into Explore, we still do not have computer on the side. Unless you open up computer, then it shows up. So I'm expecting that that's a bug that they haven't fixed yet, because we've noticed this in the past couple builds. So, you know, oh, and look at that. It just stopped recognizing the disk drive again. This is really annoying. It just like uninstalls it almost from the system. I'm going to open up Device Manager. No, it's like the device just got uninstalled from the system. And I'm guessing this is the unknown device on PCI bus. I mean, I'm guessing this is it. Can we hit like update driver? Unable to find. Okay, I'm going to restart, and it should show up under disk drives. Let's just confirm that when I restart here. There it is. And yeah, now DVD/CD-ROM drives shows up, and there it is. But we still have unknown on PCI bus. Okay, so this is not the disk drive then. It's obviously a bug of some kind. But we're going to open this up, and then we're going to run the setup executable. And yeah, we're definitely in the home stretch, because we've got this build, and then I have the RTM build copied over to this DVD right here. So I'm definitely optimistic. I know we had trouble with 7100 before, but I think that's just because we were trying to upgrade from a build that was too old. Like, we had to be running build 7000 is my guess. And now we're running it, so let's see if I'm right. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my gosh. So we can't actually upgrade from the official beta to the official release candidate. Wow. That is surprising. I thought for sure we'd be able to do that. So yeah, as soon as I said we're in the home stretch, apparently we're not. Although, can we go from beta to RTM? And if that doesn't work, we're going to have to download one of these pre-release candidate builds and try to upgrade to one of those and then to the final build. But I don't know. I mean, it says here you can't upgrade this pre-release version of Windows 7. Like, that's kind of worded to imply that we can't upgrade the pre-release version we're currently running, which is not true, because this same message showed up on the last build. We were able to upgrade from that. But is this saying that we can't upgrade to this pre-release? Like, regardless of what build we have running, it won't let us upgrade to it. The beta wiki page does not say anything about upgrading not working. It just says it was released on April 30th, 2009, the general public 5 days later. Beta archives page on this is like 1 sentence. So, yeah, that's... Let's try the collection book. Official release candidate build is not much different than previous builds leaked. Mostly it are bug fixes. There's a typo on this page. Yeah, nothing about nothing about upgrading being disabled. So let's just try to upgrade to RTM and see if we can skip release candidate entirely. That would be really nice, wouldn't it? You can't upgrade this pre-release version of Windows 7. I thought I was like almost done with recording this video. Yeah, I'm gonna have to download like one of these pre-RC builds. Alright, hang on a second, because I made another discovery that actually makes this whole thing much easier, at least theoretically, if this actually works. Okay, new development. Now it's not recognizing the disk drive at all, even after restarting twice. So now there's something else wrong. But you know, whatever, because I've got a USB one that we're going to use, and this will probably be quicker than trying to troubleshoot and, you know, install the driver only for it to fail and whatever. So I'm just going to do this. There we go. So if we open up, this is a modified 7100 install disk image that I've got burned to this DVD right now. And if we hop into sources, and if we scroll down and look for cversion.ini, if we open this up with Notepad here, let me just change the font so that this will show up a little bit better on camera. So there are 2 lines in here, or actually 3 lines if you count the host build text in the brackets here. And this minimum client, was set to 7077.0. Min server was 7000.0 by default, which means that you have to be running 7077 or later to do the upgrade. So I went ahead and changed this to 7000.0, which theoretically will mean that when we run the installer, it will allow us to do the upgrade. And there we go, look at that. So that is what it was. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to jinx myself. Let's see if it actually installs. Well, look at this. That's right, it actually worked as the computer's about to go to sleep. So yeah, here we are running. Hang on, let me pull up Winver here. Build 7100, which is just awesome. That means we have 1 build left to go, and I've got the RTM release of Windows 7 burned to this DVD. And I still have the USB DVD drive plugged in because it is still not recognizing the internal one, so we're going to pop it into that. And yeah, that's still very interesting how it's just arbitrarily not recognizing and then deciding to recognize the DVD drive. Also, what's odd is if you look at Windows Explorer here, we've opened up Computer, and Computer is not on the sidebar. Now, previously we would open up like Recycle Bin, or we would click down here to open up the libraries, and it would not be there. But now it's also not there when you actually open up Computer, which it was in like the last build. So this is definitely odd. And I don't think it's normally supposed to behave this way in 7100 because this is a really like close to final implementation of Windows 7. But I did have to modify this CD as well because we have the same thing going on with that cversion.ini file in the sources folder. So we'll open this up here and I'll show you that again. You can see that I have changed the minimum client version string to say 7100. Now, min server was already 7100, which I find interesting how Microsoft evidently did not change this, but they had changed this to 7233, which is noteworthy because 7233 is an unleaked build of Windows 7. Now, apparently 7233 was mentioned in a Microsoft blog post, but it was also the minimum client string for the build of Windows you had to be running to upgrade to RTM. So I went ahead and changed that to 7100, so theoretically we should be able to do the exact same thing we just did and run setup. Oh yeah, and if you noticed, I forgot to set the theme back to our glorious custom theme once again. So we're going to see if that still remains. And there we go, copying files. So I'm not going to jinx myself, and we're just going to let this do its thing. Oh my gosh, look at that. It actually worked, you guys. So yes, it successfully completed the installation, and now it's finalizing our settings. Let me tell you, I have never been more excited to get Windows 7 installed in my life. And would you look at that, it kept the beta fish wallpaper. So that's pretty cool. Just to, confirm here, we are of course running Build 7600, the final release of Windows 7. And yeah, so if we go into personalize, let's see. Yeah, unsaved. Oh no! It got rid of our themes! No! It got rid no! Gosh, I should have applied the custom theme that we made. Dang it! Well, it technically did save a theme. It just is the unsaved theme with the Betafish wallpaper. So, of course, here's the default Windows 7 one, but we're going to keep it on this. And let's go into File Explorer and see if... No, computer is still not there. That is really bizarre. And it's not there in here either. So I'm guessing that's some preference that, I don't know, was set in one of the earlier builds that it's retaining, because it's normally supposed to show up here, certainly when you're in computer, but even when you're just in like Recycle Bin or another Windows Explorer window, it's supposed to show up here on the side by default. So that is interesting. It's still not recognizing our internal DVD drive, unfortunately. But, I mean, yeah, that is... that is it. Like, even with all these quirks, we still upgraded from the very first leaked build of Windows 7, or I guess technically not that one of the earliest builds of Windows 7, all the way to RTM with numerous problems. But you know what? We did it, and that's what matters. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, all that good stuff. And if you really enjoyed this video, and if you want to get early access to future videos of mine, I do have a Patreon page down below that you can check out. Either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next video.